Hello, I'm Richard Vobes, the Bald Explorer, and I'm out on another exploration. And today I'm meeting Kym Murden, who is a herbalist. Hello, Kym.
Hello, Richard.
Nice to meet you.
Welcome to the world of herbs.
Well, we are standing in your cabin at the end of your garden. You live in Lewes, in East Sussex.
Yes.
Nice to get into East Sussex rather than staying in West Sussex, which I do a lot of. And we're surrounded by brown bottles, which is slightly worrying for me because I'm wondering what's inside them. And we've come up your garden, which is, well, we're in winter, so I was going to say it's a festoon of different herbs, but I guess they're there.
They're there, they're resting. I mean, some are, alive and chirpy, and other things I've got to, dig the roots up. But
right.
Yeah, so there's stuff going on, but not that full vibrancy of summer.
No, well, we'll have to come back and have a look at those another time. Now, I am very ignorant when it comes to a herbalist, and I met you on one of the Bald Explorer walks, and I said, we've got to come and find out what herbalism is. And I mentioned to you the name, is it Edward Culpeper?
Nicholas,
that's right. Nicholas Culpeper, that's right. Nicholas Culpeper from 16-something or other?
1642, 1650, middle of the Civil War years. Yes.
But he wrote one of the books that's still published.
Yeah, one of the books that's been in longest print.
Yes.
Yes, continuous print since.
But the use of herbs is a very ancient art, I suppose. If you can call it an art, is it an art?
Yes, I think it's a mix of art and science, but an art in terms of, it's as long as human beings have existed, they've used plants. If you go back, I think, to the earliest records, 60,000 years ago, Neanderthal man and woman, the graves had plants in there that we still recognise today and use.
Yeah. So let's just dispel the first thing. When you think of herbs, or if I think of herbs, I'm thinking parsley, sage, all those sort of lovely herbs that you cook with. Yes. But it's more than that.
It's more than that. I mean, yes, we do use parsley, sage, rosemary, thyme. They're very potent, very helpful herbs. But a herb, from a herbalist point of view, a medical herbalist point of view, is any plant material that can have a therapeutic effect on the body. So it'll be from the roots, the bark, leaves, flowers, berries. So the whole, so different plants have different components. So like if you think of a marigold flower, we're using the flower, but then there'll be something like witch hazel where we're using the bark.
Right.
So the range of usage is huge and very versatile.
Yes, I can imagine.
Yes.
And a lot of this information has been passed down from generation to generation, and as we said with Culpeper, who started to sort of make this available to all of society rather than just an elite who were looking at books in Latin.
Yes. So he put it into English, and he melded, he respected the folklore, so what the people were using from the land, as well as combining that with the old knowledge. So really important that we embrace that. I think there can be a lot of snobbery in medicine throughout all centuries. There's snobbery, whereas I'm quite pragmatic and go, we've got a human body, we've got plants, let's use them. And I think Kew Gardens, when they last did an estimate of how many plants are used globally, it came out at something like 17,810 or something like that.
God,
so
right.
a lot of plant materials. And we've probably got about, behind us, going on to about 250 plants that I'm using in some shape or form here as medicine.
So people know the term that you are what you eat.
Yes.
And that's literally true in a way, is it?
It is. If we go back to Hippocrates, who is father of modern medicine in one way, but he practiced herbal medicine. That's what they had. And he said, let medicine be your food and food be your medicine. So in terms of what we eat and what we take in plant-wise, it will affect all our body functions. So it's it's a very simple, wholesome way to take your medicine, in plant material.
So would you say that you're this might sound rude, and I don't mean to be rude, an alternative medicine practitioner?
Well, we get put in that box,
in that
category. However, one of my colleagues, who's a little bit older than me, he when he designed his dispensary, so we would call this dispensary behind me here, he said, Kym, I've designed this in terms of what I saw as a child when I went to my doctor. So our modern medics, this is their heritage, as well as our veterinary scientists, this is their heritage. Well, they use plants. The people, our top 50 pharmaceutical drugs, half of those are based on plants.
Right. Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
So, who goes to a herbalist?
All sorts.
Right,
All
okay.
sorts. But
Yes.
you know, but people, so it can be some, it could be the very young come because they
Yes.
know the herbs are very gentle and effective. It can be people who've got very long, ongoing problems because they can't get, the help they need from just conventional medicine. I work alongside people who are taking orthodox drugs. So all sorts come, and it's often people who really want to have a sense of having some wanting to help themselves a bit more. So
Right.
I like to work with people, explain how their bodies are working, and then really look at them in rather than just a label. You go to the
Yes.
doctor, they've probably got 5 minutes, they've got to be very quick.
Yes.
Whereas they want to spend time talking about what's going on for them, and we can then work out what.
So it's very much a holistic approach.
Yes, holistic approach.
Holistic,
Yes.
yeah.
People find, they find that often they say, "Oh, I haven't had a chance to share this before," and that just even sharing their story can be part of the process for them. Yeah.
So I mean, you've got all these brown bottles, and you've got also in jars there. You've got loose herbs, so you can take the herbs in different ways.
Yes. So the simplest way is what the brown bottles are what we call the tinctures. So the plants have been reduced down, they've been infused in the buckets and then pressed out, and then you've got the tincture. So often I'll blend about 4 or 5 herbs in a mix for someone in a bottle, and then they'll just take that like twice a day. That's very simple. Otherwise we can do teas, so you can make a very simple herb tea. Also you can make things like creams, ointments, lovely words you get in herbal medicine like poultices and compresses.
Yeah.
So it's a whole range.
Very much like the old. If you read any classic fiction, and the doctor comes to the house. The doctor has been called and he's said, "I'm going to prescribe a poultice of this
or an embrocation."
Yes, an embrocation. These wonderful words.
Yes,
These
I love
wonderful
it.
words.
I love it.
So that's. But you're not. In a way, you're doctoring. In a way.
In a way, yes. In a way, I work. I'm not putting grandiosity on me, but
No.
in terms of people come, I would be, like a general practitioner. I'm looking at that broad base, and then if people, if I go, actually I think you need to go and see your doctor because you've got quite a serious sounding problem going on there, then I will absolutely direct them in that direct them in that way. So yes, it's sort of just a very calm, sensible approach.
Right. and so this is stuff that you also grow, many of the herbs.
Yes. So a lot of these plants here have grown outside in this garden and been harvested at the appropriate time. There's two more colleagues locally in Surrey and Sussex. So if they've got heaps of one plant and I've run out, or vice, we'll do sort of swapsies.
Yeah.
There are certain herbs that I will buy in. So something like ginger, won't grow in this climate.
Right.
So
No.
so
especially not in the winter like the weather we've had recently.
So so. Probably be, I don't know, I haven't counted it up, but about 80% plus, those bottles behind me are medicines that I've made or my colleagues have made. Yes.
And that's a hands-on process.
It's hands-on, it's really very low impact industry in that, you just seeing in the summer that the weather's been right and the plants are all out and it's time to collect them. It's a very busy time, but it's very enjoyable, connecting with nature and into the rhythm. I think it's very important that we do honour the rhythms of the year and the rhythms of our life. So, it's just keeping things more harmonious.
So thinking of the average person who might be watching this, who when they have a complaint you would automatically go to the doctor, because that's how we've been trained these days, and our lifestyles are trying to fit in a very corporate lifestyle. I suppose you're trying to get to the office or whatever job that you do. You don't have a lot of time. You throw stuff into the microwave. We're eating all sorts of foods which have been mass produced and contain things like sugar. Which so in other words, we're consuming a lot of stuff. And if it is true, as you say, that we are what we eat, we're probably putting into our bodies a whole load of things that are working against us.
Yes, and I think people maybe are a bit, not naive is not the right word, but confused about that, because there could be lots of sort of judgmental stuff about food.
Yes, of course.
But if I like to go back to saying, well, eat food that maybe your grandmother would recognise as food, that's always a really good golden rule, and one that hasn't been meddled. Look at the stages that it's gone through an industrial process. If it's gone through quite a few, then you probably don't want to be touching it. And things like sugar, that sugar can have therapeutic actions, but if we have things in too much quantity, then it will have a damaging effect. And it's hidden in so many foodstuffs that maybe we don't realise how much we're consuming and how acidic it's on our system and how inflammatory it is on the system. And those are things that cause ill health. So when I'm working with someone, it's really nice to help them understand like how the gut is working. And if they understand that, then they can make sensible changes. You know, they can feel more in control of what's going on, because often things like sugar will set up a very addictive process without us realising, because our body's enjoying the endorphin hit in the brain.
Yes, of course, yes. And we all feel that we need, we're feeling a bit tired and what have you, a quick Mars bar, or to mention a brand, but a quick bar of chocolate or something, which has obviously got the sugar in, is going to give us the fix we need. And
then you crash and then you want some more. So it's about getting it in balance, because I would say, I'm not one of those who go, you mustn't eat this, you mustn't eat that, but it's about getting things in balance.
Right.
And then we can live.
And that's something, I mean, that it comes down to common sense. We all kind of know that the whole thing about dieting, that thing about just don't eat too much, eat too much crap food, and we generally know what we mean by crap food, and have a bit of exercise, and yet
and sleep well,
and sleep well. That sleep, and that's the thing that we seem to not adhere to, these very simple advices.
Well, I think we've come into a very busy time in society. I don't know why. I think social media maybe has got parts to it, just being told we've got to be busy and running and, go with the crowd on that. But actually bringing things back down to a very sensible place, and people feel very calm once you give them permission. I think we've got to give ourselves permission again to go and do what we enjoy, like just maybe going for a simple country walk rather than having to join the gym and do pound here, there and everywhere. It's like,
and save money, really.
Save money, and just have some good friends. It doesn't have to be a big party the whole time. It can be the simple, ordinary pleasures where the greatest, support comes from in our life.
Well, Kym, I, in the new year, would like to bring the camera again, come back to you, and then do a personal consultation with you. I'm not saying I'm full of issues, but I'm sure that I'm fascinated to learn more about it.
That'd be a pleasure to do that.
And I'm also interested if anybody out there watching this does go to a herbalist, or has tried, or is studying, or is interested in the subject. So please leave comments about it. And it would be great to find out more about yourself. And I've also said to Kym she should set up her own YouTube channel. So you help explain to people what the herbs do and what they're all about. Yep,
absolutely. I mean, I'm not that proficient on the website, but I've just put up on my page, how to make fresh onion syrup, which is like one of the easiest cough medicines in the world to make.
The lovely Julia and I will have to make some of that up.
Yes, do.
Try that out. But for now, you've got another guise which I'm going to talk to you in another video about, and that's storytelling. I'm very interested in that, being a storyteller myself to a certain degree. But we've run out of time, which is always a shame. However, we will be back. Let us know what you think. If you're interested in this, we'll come and do some more. But in the meantime, thank you so much. It's so interesting. And of course, as we said off camera before we started, there's a whole series of interesting things.
We talk about this forever. Yes. It's human history of the planet. It's just lovely.
So look out for Kym's new YouTube channel, which will be coming soon with any luck. But until then, thanks for watching. Don't forget to follow, like, subscribe, and leave a comment, give us a thumbs up, and all those things. But until next time, thanks again.
Thank you for coming.
Bye-bye for now.
Bye.